It's Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. It is time for another Conversations with Cougars. And I've got an OG in the house tonight. Number 40, Tim Whaley. How you doing tonight, Tim? What's going on?
Yes, Bernard. Thank you for inviting me on this show. It is awesome to be here. I've been following you and just listening to the former players, administrators, staff, cheerleader, the whole fan base of Northview. I'm excited and pumped. Yes.
I am too. And I got to lead off with this. It's a trivia question I've been asking for 40 years. For 40 years, whose hand? The hand of God who came in and knocked down that last pass against Carver to seal the 81 state title game. Whose hand was that?
It was my hand. I did it. It was my hand. I did it. It was Bernard. It was I did. It was so amazing. I'll tell the story of it when we get to that segment.
Oh, we're going to get there, my friend.
Yes.
We're going to get there in a little bit. But guys, if you don't know Tim's story, if you don't know what he's currently doing, or had you stick around, because we're going to get into all of it tonight.
Gotcha.
But I want to go back. I want to go back to 1978. The school opens. Tim Whaley's part of that first class, that 78 class. And little did they know that just 4 years later, they'd be kings of the mountain. But before we get to that, Tim, let's talk about that neighborhood where you grew up and those countless number of fantastic athletes who you played ball with, who you competed in the neighborhood with. Let's talk about where was that?
Gotcha, absolutely, Bernard. Let me first give thanks to God for my life. He's been amazing in my life, the good, the bad. He never changed his mind about me. He always loved me and gave me the ability to always give thanks and to forgive and to live. So having said that, let me give a shout out to old Sean, who's in the UK. He tried to call me this morning and say, hey, Pi, I'm going to watch the show. It'll be 1 o'clock my time. So, hey, old Sean, I got you. My cousin, an awesome running back. All right. So let's revert back to my inception of playing football, Johnson home. It was a time in my life where my cousin named Penny Reynolds. I never played football until I moved to Johnson home, probably 7, 8 years old. And he taught me how to catch a football, how to run, just the game itself, from basketball to baseball to football. My cousin David run his brother, and we go to Johnson home and we just run passes, run plays. And we played, you call it sandlot football. And so as I grew up and got older, a great name like Mike Henry, Aristotle Kirkland, yes, Cassius Butler, Butch Henderson, you don't know Larry Jackson, Joe Marsh. So these are some of the guys that I actually played with in Johnson home, my inception to football. So
those are all my teammates. You were a hero to those guys. You were a couple years older than those guys. Mike Henry, Cassie Butler, all those guys. My guys.
Yes. So yes, these are guys that I grew up with in Johnson home playing sandlot football. And Bernard, here's a funny story. Mike Henry had a brother named Shane Henry. And when we played baseball, we didn't have a baseball field in Johnson home. So we had a space that we played in. We would take flour from my mom's cabinet and mark the diamond, the baseball field, and play baseball.
Nice.
Basketball, we didn't have basketball goals. We played in 10 garbage cans, and the game was so competitive and serious. I kid you not. That's how we played, Bernard. We were so competitive.
I tell you, that's where all those, Tim, that's where all the skill sets came from. And then you brought them over to the View.
Yes.
Awesome. I bet those games were every bit as competitive as those Friday night games when you're lining up for Northview later on.
Absolutely, Bernard.
Did you always know where did you go from middle school? You at Carver? Where'd you go?
From middle school.
Junior high. It was junior high back then.
I started for elementary school at Stringer Street Elementary School under Principal Fame. And at that time, I played Pee Wee football under Coach Johnny Porter, Coach Porter, Coach Thomas, Coach Flowers. Some of the players that you just named, Doug Jones, Jerry Taylor, Herbert Glanton, James Lee, we all played for String Street Bulldogs under Coach Johnny Porter. And
did y'all ever lose a game? Did you ever lose?
we lost. I think I remember we lost to the Dolphins. A guy named was Andy Jones that played with the Dolphins. This guy was fast, smooth, fast, quick. And so we lost to the Dolphins, but we won the city championship. I remember that. So yes, but from there, from String Street, we integrated. That's the school integrated, and I ended up going, I wanted to say to not East Highland, but well, I know I went to Cougar, Cougar Junior High. And so there, I didn't play football my 8th grade year. I was just, trying to find myself and, being a junior, just trying to understand life itself. And so I didn't participate much in football my junior year as far as junior high goes. Yeah. Then, Bernard, I transitioned to Northview. It changed everything. So, yes, sir. Yes.
Who were some of those 9th graders who came in with you?
Wow. Here's a quick story. I remember, I know it was Bud Young, Crusher Burr, Carmichael Patton, Patterson, Scott Patterson, Joseph Johnson, Reggie Rose. It was new, it was familiar. And Coach Parrish walked into the dressing room. He said, this would be the team that will win the state championship in the next 4 years. He prophesied that to us. And if those who listen, they can actually validate what I'm saying.
Well, I got news for you. One of your teammates who you've already mentioned, JJ, is on with us right now.
JJ.
And we got Damon Glasgow. Hey, Damon. Hey, JJ. Thanks, bud. You guys for showing up for Whaley tonight. 9th grade, Coach Parrish tells your team, this team's going to win sometime in the next 4 years, the state title.
Yes.
And Pi, hold on. From the UK, who's on board with us tonight, we got O'Shawn.
O'Shawn.
Much respect for this young fella right here, even though my alarm clock will be going off in about 4 hours. Thank you, O'Shawn, for showing up tonight. We got Charles Kelly Bronson. You're getting all kind of love, Pi.
Bronson, yes. I love Bronson. Yes, sir. JJ.
All right, go back to Coach Parrish and his proclamation to the team.
Yes, and so I remember he came to the locker room and he announced, he said, this will be the team that will win the state championship in the next 4 years. We bought into that belief. We lived it. We practiced, we lift weights, and we actually were prodigies of the game. Bernard, we was unified, we was coherent, and I loved playing. And the coach at that time was Coach Kirkland and Coach Tribute. And we played.
You're down in that Dust Bowl.
Ooh. The Dust Bowl, yes, the Dust Bowl.
Now, Pi, is it true? I heard a rumor that I'm starting right now.
Okay.
That you loved around the horn. You loved to jump the pole. You loved man in the ring. Is it
Bernard, true? Who would be in their right mind to love it? I hated that pole, that long tart pole. It started very small at the beginning and started increasing inside as you hopping over it. And so you hop it and you're like, man, this is challenging. And then you go around the horn. And I remember the sled. Coach Hick, you drive the sled. And what I hated about the horn was the one-on-one with your team, your fellow teammate, Leon Mars. No, you talking about a headhunter. The guy was vicious, ferocious. I hated going against him, but he was on my team, and I loved it. I loved it. Yes. I
cannot tell you how many, probably almost 100%.
Yes.
The conversations I had on this program, practices were harder than the games. Talk about that.
Here's a funny thing about that. When let's say we have a storm coming to the area, tornado, hurricane. During practice time, it was clear. The sky was blue. Practice would take place, right? I don't
Every
know.
time, every time.
Every time. But practice was so every day. It was challenging. It made us competitive. It made us stronger. It made us unite. It was first team, first offense, first defense, first offense. And we made each other better, stronger. And it was challenging. Practice was it was challenging, Bernard. That's the best way I can say it.
Pi, when you're in ninth grade and you're down in the Dust Bowl and you're seeing the varsity up on the hill, we all want to be up on that hill because we want to be with the varsity. We look forward to those days. But when you're a ninth grader, you got to pay your dues down in that horrible bowl where there's no wind. It's only dirt and you got to run up and down the hill. Did you at any point in time, Tim, did it ever occur to you, I don't know if I want to go through this. I think I'm going to give this up and go do another sport. Did that ever cross your mind as a ninth grader or a 10th grader?
Well, I'm going to circle back to 10th grade year, but ninth grade, because we bought into the concept of the belief that Coach Parrish said, hey, this ninth grade team is going to win the state championship next 4 years. I want to say we were undefeated that year. I remember Kershaw Bird with a running back, John Kite with a running back. And we practice, we believe in the fundamental of the game. And I loved it. I never at that point say, I'm going to quit. I want to quit. Run the hills, suicide, whatever it took, it was making us stronger. And so, no, I never had that thought of saying, this is too hard. I'm going to quit. But
Pi, we got it. Go ahead, but I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But my sophomore year, I didn't play. I didn't play my sophomore year. I played my freshman, junior, and senior year. Sure did.
Wow. Pi, we got one of your teammates, Shane Cobb, is with us tonight.
Shane, Shane Cobb. Tell Shane, let's suit up today, and we'll go one-on-one if he's ready. I'm ready for Shane. Shane was a thorn in my side.
Oh man, we got Missy Wright Morris. Hey Missy, thank you for joining us. Pi, there's no doubt that those practices in those first several years.
Yes.
Shane said he'd dominate. Wink, wink.
Right.
Those first several years, sports medicine and water breaks and those kind of things were not really part of the mainstream thought process of coaches. It was salt tablets. It was water maybe once if you were lucky, maybe not. But somehow we survived through those early years. But one of the things that you guys had that was, I'm 4 years behind you. We didn't have tearaway jerseys. We got a little bit more water than you guys. Maybe our equipment was a little more evolved, as it is each couple of years.
Exactly.
But the one thing that any Cougar who played has, no matter when you played, you have the love of the game. You have the love of the team, of your teammates. And that's where I want to talk about for a minute. We're going to get to the Soul Patrol in a few minutes.
Absolutely.
But I want to talk about the importance of teammates and why team building, going through around the horn and the pole and all of those things. Why is that important in the hottest of August days? It's 2:00 in the afternoon. It's 100 degrees in Dothan, but you get through it as a group. Why is that important, Pi, to a team?
I believe those going around the horn, the 2 days, practicing in the afternoon, the competition with first defense against first offense, unifying with your position coach, your position players, come together and becoming one again defensively and offensively. The after practice, running the football field, sprints. It was character building to me. It made me a better person, not just on the football field, but in life. It taught me that, hey, you can't quit. It allowed me to find something within me to be stronger, to be optimistic about the outcome where I'm trying to reach. Going back to the Dust Bowl, I remember looking up and seeing players like Dwight Jones, or Steve Ince, the Reed Oaks, Andy John, Fatso, Mike Durden, Larry Parker. And so these guys who I emulated and wanted to play. But going back, I got to look at like Marcus Henry, who was Mike Henry's brother. And my brother Titus Whaley played, you know. And so it was important to me that we had to build a foundation. And it started with a strategy that was implemented on the field by the coaches. They put hundreds and hundreds of hours behind closed door, watching film, studying players, and looking at statistics, and brought onto the field. And they actually executed the plan. By doing that, we were allowed to understand and believe in what they were teaching us and giving us. And so it was very important that we understood leadership, we were disciplined, and we were focused, and that made us champions.
Pi, you were a defensive back for most of your career. When you were a ninth grader, you already mentioned several of the older varsity players in that 78 fall, that first fall. Did you have any players, either on older guys on the Northview team, players who were in college or pro, that you wanted to pattern your game after? Yes.
I remember my ninth grade year. I was working at Hawk Houston Boys Club. During that time, there was a program called the Cedar Program where they allow kids to work after school. And I was fortunate to work at the Boys Club, the Hawk Houston Boys Club, under Mr. James. And I remember going to the library with some of the kids, and I picked up a book. It was by Jack Tatum, who played for the Raiders back in that time period. It was one sentence that magnified the word to me. It talked about the harder you hit a person, the more it make an impact and won't hurt you. And it made sense to me. And so I read that book, I practiced what he said, and he was one person that I emulated as a hard hitter. Now the other one was Lester Hayes, the Raiders. And so, yes, those are some people I looked up to and recently professional.
You know, in the late 70s, early 80s, those are two of the very best in the pros. Now, did you use as much stickum as Lester Hayes? Remember all that? I mean, it was stuff was everywhere. He would stick out his arm, the ball would just attach.
No, I don't think no, Coach Griffin wouldn't allow us to have the stickum, so we use tape, you know, the white tape and stuff.
Right.
Our limitation as far as the stickum go, but yeah, I remember the stickum. Absolutely.
We got Daryl Blanchard in the house, says to tell you hello.
Daryl was an awesome running back offensively. Hey, Daryl.
We got number 74, Patrick Fitch, the younger of the two Fitch brothers.
Patrick and Ahmed, we grew up together in Johnson Home. We also, played football together. Ahmed played with me in Southeastern. We played in the high school. Then later on, he came to Southeastern with me, Kirschberg, Steve Ince, Leroy Marshall.
We call that Northview West.
Yes. It was a couple of them went to Southeastern Louisiana, and Ahmed was one of them. And so Patrick is just, Patrick is a great motivator, a philosopher, very intellectual, and I love Patrick.
All right, stop. He's getting a big head, but the only thing I'll tell you, Pat, you may remember Pat was a year behind me.
Right.
He was my starting right tackle, and I outweighed him by 10 pounds as quarterback.
Wow.
That's how tough he was.
He was tough.
We got Shirley C in the house.
Miss Caesar. Hey, Shirley was the unofficial principal at Northview.
For many years. For many years.
Mr. Principal James or Mr. Moon, Miss
Mhm.
Shirley C. ran the school.
Oh, by far.
Absolutely,
All right,
absolutely.
I've got some questions for you from the crew.
Okay.
What's the history? What's the origin of your nickname? Pie.
Bernard, all right. You know when you're small and you're a little bit baby, and I asked my mom that same question. I said, "Mom, where did the name Pie come from?" She said, "Well, when you were small, I looked at you and you just made me smile. You looked so sweet, and so I call you Pie." And so, funny thing about that, Bernard, is Northview. Everybody knew about Pie Whaley.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to college,
Mm-hmm.
and so I transferred from high school to college, and I'm in the classroom on the football field. They're saying Tim Whaley. I'm like, who is Tim Whaley? But but people like Kirschenberg, Leon, and John Kite, they knew who I was, Pie Whaley. But yeah, I have always grew up with that name.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet.
Yes,
I want
sir.
to talk about the influence of Coach Griffin. I want to talk about Coach Griffin. I want to talk about the Soul Patrol. How important was Coach Griffin to your matriculation through Northview, not only as a ball player,
Yes.
as a student athlete as well?
Right. When you say that, Coach Griffin today, we talk every now and then, or when I'm in Dothan, I go visit with him. He led the FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He was, number one, he was a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
He was a father. He was a husband. He was a minister. He was a teacher, and he was a coach. He was an amalgamation of all those characters. You never knew what you're going to get.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the situation. Coach Griffin was, even today, Bernard, he's like a dad to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have my dad when I grew up. I met my dad when I was 28 years old. But Coach Griffin, Coach Parrish, Coach Johnson, mainly Coach Griffin and Coach Parrish, they was like were my surrogate father. They was the father that helped develop me and watch me as I developed into a young man. So Coach Griffin was my first interaction with a coach in high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I told you in junior high I didn't play football, but when I met Coach Griffin, it was amazing. He was intimidating. He was fair. He was a comedian. He was loving, and he was genuine. His favorite word was no, Whaley, you don't want it. Mm-hmm. And so today I'm like, I finally knew what he meant by that. It wasn't so much on the football field. Mm-hmm. He was telling me, no, you don't want it. As far as get it right, it's more than just on the football field. You have a bigger thing to strive for. Take this game and perfect it. Do good, and then you end up getting a scholarship. And so not only that, he taught me about life lesson. He would say, no, Whaley, you don't want it. I'm like, what he's talking about? What I don't want. And I understood that he wanted me to be the best version that I could be. And so Coach Griffin today is very influential in my life.
Today, what did it mean back in the day, the higher coach's voice got? What did that mean? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Let me now compare. Let me compare that to college. All right. When the tough now the most the word I heard from Coach Perry was dang on it, Sam Hill, right?
Yep.
When I went to college, oh no, it was worse than that. And so I understood that college was a business, but high school was the fundamental of you developing on the field and off the field. And so I was forced to be with Coach Griffin, you know, who was a Christian, and his word was limited to what he would say to you. But, you know, from the distance, I heard some things on the other side of the field, but I was fortunate to be around Coach Griffin a lot.
Mhm.
So yeah. When that voice got high, I'm like, uh-oh, something going on, something
Yeah,
going
yeah.
wrong. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, let's pivot just a little bit. Let's
Gotcha.
move into 11th and 12th grade for just a few minutes. Let's talk about the Soul Patrol. Who's in the Soul Patrol? What did that mean? What did that mean to you guys?
And it was unity. It was brotherhood. It was Kershaw Bird, Leon Mars, John Kite, myself, and the backup could have played anywhere. I'm about to name Bruce Johnson, Vance Emerson, I think Ronnie Goss, Darryl Chatham. These are all backup to us that could have played anywhere. And we were all together as a team. John Kite was just ferocious, just the instinct to come at you and knock you out and look at you and go back and pick you up again. Leon Mars, Leon was probably 5'5" with cleats on, but played like he was 6'5". Every practice, every game. Kershaw Bird, I didn't realize how fast Kershaw was. Kershaw was more of your cover guy. Now he'll hit you, but Kershaw was more of a cover guy. And so we all brought it together as a unit. And so Shane Cobb may disagree with this right here. I remember doing practice, Bernard, that we was taking out the receivers. I mean, knocking them out. Coach Parrish must have said to Coach Griffin, hey, tell them to back up some because we don't have enough wide receiver. I remember Coach Griffin came to the huddle and he didn't know how to tell us. He's like, hey, listen, y'all need to just kind of, calm down some, back up and restrain yourself. But that's how we practice. We played with intensity. We played with intention because we took that same emotion and feeling into the game. And so the game was not hard. Well, it was challenging, but not like practice, Bernard. No.
I was getting ready to say, I just know that those practices went on ones. That was tough. We got DC Clark in the house tonight.
DC, hey DC.
Tim, I'm looking up. I want to call out something to you because I want to talk about your 11th grade year and what you saw in the team that might have given some preview about how good your senior year season was going to be. You had David Alford, one of the fastest, most sneakiest, best quarterbacks that had come through the Southeast in a while.
Right.
Talk a little bit about some of your other teammates for a second.
Yeah, let me pivot to David for a second. The golden boy, the blonde hair, the magazine cover story. David was an awesome quarterback. He understood the play, he understood the game, he understood how to read the defensive players. Fast, I got to circle back to that. The other play that Bernard, I come back to you. We were playing Foley in the playoff, the first playoff game. No, the second. We had beat Murphy. I had that was a fumble probably on the 10-yard line. Foley's coming in try to score, and they fumble the ball. I get the fumble, and I score an 80-yard touchdown or more. Before I get to end zone, guess who down there with me? Brent Gilbert. I'm like, how did Brent beat me down here? He's
Brent probably outweighed you by 50 pounds.
Yes,
he was probably 5 inches taller or whatever, and he beat you to the end zone.
I believe today that in that time he could have beat David Alford as far as running, no doubt. But anyway,
I want to see the film of you getting outrun by Gilbert 80 yards.
I kid you not.
Wow, that was a 28-12 win in the second round of the playoffs.
Absolutely, yes.
Your defense that year, you only lose one game. That's to Lanier in overtime.
Lanier.
Those to Lanier. The team gives up 6, 14, 28, 20, 0, 7, 13. And then the rest of the season, single digits, except for Murphy, you gave up 14. And
yes,
only 12. What kind of pride? Because we're now moving into that 12th grade year. You know,
Yes.
David gets hurt in the Chris County game. Dickey comes in and just plays so admirably. But y'all's defense that year was something special. What kind of pride did that defense? I know you had Larry Roberts, you had Brent, you had all you guys that just showed out.
Yes.
Take us
Yes.
in the huddle. Take us into that accountability that you had for each other and that on that side of the defense.
Right. I remember hearing Coach Griffin talking about doing practice where it was goal line stance against the #1 offense, which was Northview, doing practice. We were so united and solid defensively, why that during practices that they couldn't score on us.
Mm-hmm.
And so we took a pride in who we were as players. We went home with each other. We visited each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're communicable. We talk. We watch film together. We lift weights together. We was unified as a team. Player like Scott Patterson, Carmichael, and Joseph Johnson, Bud Young, Brad Kennington,
Mm-hmm.
our linebackers. I mean, Bernard, looking back now, I didn't realize we could have played a college team.
Mm-hmm. Well, Pi, you only had 6 guys made All-State.
Just six.
Only 6 that
Just
year.
only 6, right?
That's right. You guys were ranked in the top 10 the whole season. And what that team did to me is the greatest single season team in the history of the school. And I don't think it's even close. My year in 85, we had to come from behind every game. 5 overtimes, we lost a bunch of games, but you guys were so dominant. And when after David went down, things changed in the offense because Dickey had to get up to speed. But that defense that year was unmatched in Northview history. And I can only imagine the level of accountability you each held to each other in those defensive huddles.
Wow.
That's pretty special.
I can recall when we're in the huddle and our leader, our captain, our linebacker, Scott Patterson, is calling the play, and we look over and we get the play from Coach Griffin. Either it was cover 1, cover 2, or cover 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the weak corner, and you're always gonna be cover 1, you're gonna be man.
Right.
Because you're on the weak side. And so you had John Kite or Darryl Chatham, who was the free safety. You had Leon, the strong safety. You had Kirchberg, the other left corner. You had a linebacker. You had Larry Roberts. You had Brad Kennedy. You had Bud Young, and so Brent Gilbert. And so you got this team that is synchronized. We understand each other. We understand the plays. We understand what we have to do and hold their offense so our offense come out here and play and score for us. You had Doug Jones. You had Marcus Paul. You had Mickey Sappho. You got the wide receivers, Shane Cobb, Norman Carmen. You got David Offer, now Dick Little in. You got Coleman. I mean, I could go on and on, Bernard, and name offense and defense. And we understood the plays, we understood the personnel, we understood the timing of the game, we understood the position, we understood where we are on the field. That made a difference in my ability to play football. Like Coach Griffin said, I wasn't fast, but I understood the game. I understood the sideline. I understood the number. I understood the hash mark. I understood is it 3 and 4, that's maybe a running play. If it's 3 and 8, that's a pass play, depending on what you are. I understood the game, how to play the game. And so, yes, our defense was solid. Carmichael Patterson. I mean, it was awesome, Bernard. Yes.
Pat, many say that the semifinal win against Jeff Davis, the 10-7 game, may have been one of the best games in Northview history, one of the toughest played games. They had, I forget who their quarterback was, Mike Turk, maybe he went on to play in college, that whole bunch of college potential,
Yes.
future college guys on that Jeff Davis team. But I always believed that that game got you guys mentally prepared for the next week against Carver. Do you
Yes.
remember the Jeff Davis game? Because it wasn't like the Foley or the game before that. The first two rounds, you all took care of business pretty easily, those two games. But that Jeff Davis game, that was a tough game.
The Jeff Davis game in Crampton Bowl, they had a #1 tight end. I love Gordon tight end because to me, they weren't that mobile, that fast. But this particular tight end, he was strong. He was, at that time, probably a 4-star player.
Did he go on to play at Bama?
He may have.
I'm trying to remember. Was it Chandler? I can't think of the name. I mean, anyway, go ahead, Pi. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I remember that he ran a fly on me to the sideline. It's 1-on-1. And I turned my back to him to pin him into the sideline. He pushed me and caught the pass, and he threw a flag on me. Coach Hicks, Coach Parr, they were livid about that play.
Yeah.
I remember a scout came down, and I think he was from Mississippi Valley State. He said, "I watched that game." He said, "That guy pushed you in that game." But that game was, it was the state championship game against Carver, against Jeff Davis. Yes, we played well. We played as a team, both offense and defense. And I think, I played special team, punt return, kickoff return. I remember Woo and I, we was always on special team together with tearaway jersey. Oh, I love the tearaway jersey. And at center, I think they may have punted us, either me or Kershaw from the ball. But that game was so intense that it was, to me, the championship game for that year.
Before we get to the Carver game, I want to step away from the game action, and I want to talk about school spirit. What was going on in the school? It's the 4th year of the school, and I want, from your perspective, what did it mean to walk those halls those weeks and those months back then?
Well, first of all, you got to make it through Monday practice, right?
Yeah, you did.
Make it through Monday, make it through Tuesday, then Wednesday, so like a cool down, and then Thursday they pick the captain. You all come together and they pick the captain for the game. I remember that you would get your jersey Thursday night to wear it to school the next day, and you wore it with such pride because you earned it every day, every week, every week and month. You earned that jersey. You earned that title to play on Northview football team. And so riding the bus or carpooling with friends, you had that jersey on for that Friday day. They might as well shut school down that day because no work gonna get done, or the math, science, English, history. No, you forget that. It was so enlightening, so energetic. It was so surreal. The pet rally, wow. The cheerleader, the band, the teacher, the administrator. Just that whole day was just fluid with energy and excitement and expectation. And so you go into the pet rally, and it's just like, it's loud, it's noise, it's the band playing, it's the cheerleader playing, jumping and cheering. It's the fan base, it's people from getting off work to come to this prep rally. And we're sitting at the very end, sitting down just watching all this right here. And I have to remiss to James Smith, Principal James Smith. One day he came in, and I think we were playing someone, their mascot was the Cowboys, I believe. He came in with a cowboy outfit. That the whole gym went crazy. He came in as a cowboy and gave his speech. Don't meet me there, beat me there. And before we can say that, the whole gymnasium of people just went wild and crazy. And so today, it just blows my mind that we look back and you lived it, I lived it, that, hey, this was so real to us that you have to pinch yourself and say, hey, did I actually go through that moment?
You're so right. You're so right about that. Have you ever been in a louder gym than a Northview pep rally during the fall?
No. And to hear the speeches, Coach Parrish, the players who were captain and give their speech, the spirit stick, the spirit award stick, whether the freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors, the hard work, the cheerleader put into the pep rally, the band, the teacher being involved in the pep rally. I remember Miss Hanahan, Miss Cleveland, Miss Cotton, just the teacher was more excited for the game than we were. They was part of the game.
Hi, let's talk about that Tuesday practice before the Saturday game. You guys, just like we did, because we followed y'all's lead.
Wow.
You go up to Legion Field to practice. Had you ever been to Legion Field before? Had you ever been on AstroTurf before?
Bernard, I never stayed in the hotel during that time period. Never. Fast forward, we at the championship game. We spend the night and we stay in the hotel. And it's John, Kershaw, Leon, and myself. So we share in a room. Right, backing up. And so we travel to Legion Field in Birmingham, where the University of Alabama plays at in Auburn. And so we go on this turf. It's hard. The only thing that's separating it is just carpet. Underneath it is cement, concrete. But it's cold, and we're going through the field, looking at the field, taking in the view of the stadium. And we didn't have shoes, the proper shoes for the game. I think Coach Cleveland, someone went and found some shoes for us. I remember I had the Converse with the star on them, and they was soft cleated shoes. Just to be in that atmosphere, to be in that stadium, to be in Birmingham and preparing for the game. And we walk through, we go through practice, we load up on the bus, we go eat, we come back to Dothan. It was like, today, Bernard, it's like a flash. Is this a dream? Is this reality? What just happened? And then you go to the game. And now we're in the hotel, and I'm sleeping in my shoes. Yes, I'm sleeping in my shoes, ready for the game. We get up, I think we have breakfast, and it was an early morning, it was an early game because we used to play at night. And so now we're playing during the daytime around 12 or 1 o'clock?
Something like that, yeah.
And it's cold, but the fan base is there. It seemed like there's 100,000 people in the stadium. Yeah. On our side.
You know who wasn't there that day?
What, Bernard was there.
I'm still holding a grudge. I was in 8th grade. I wasn't allowed to go. I listened to it. I wasn't allowed to go, but anyway. No. But it seemed like most of Dothan was there, wasn't it?
Yes. It seemed like most of Dothan was there.
When did you learn that Carver had been spying on the practice the day before? How long after the game did y'all learn that?
See, I didn't know that, Bernard. I never heard it until now. I didn't know that.
Just ask any of the coaches who've been on here. They'll tell you. They were up in the press box watching some practice that Friday before, maybe that Tuesday before.
Well, see, we had some amazing coaches like Coach Anderson, who was a great scout. Coach Griffin, Coach Parrish, Coach Johnson, who was just phenomenal in what he did. Yes.
That game, that championship game, was not the best game played by the other team. Yeah, there were a lot of fumbles, a lot of penalties. I don't know. What do you chalk that up to? I mean, Carver was very good, no doubt about it. But what do you attribute, kind of a sloppy game to?
Well, on both teams, they fumble the ball some. We fumble a lot. It seemed like we couldn't run the ball like we should have. Dick Little was just awesome. I mean, he made a long drive for us. Larry missed maybe a pass or two. Doug Jones, I guess they had Doug keyed in, but Doug was awesome and strong. Philip Braswell. Oh, Philip was your utility guy. He can do it all: block, pass, run, catch. Philip Braswell was, to me, a complete package as far as a utility running back.
He knocked your block off. I know
he would knock you off. Yes, yes. And so I didn't realize that they was scouting. They was actually spying on us, but we were prepared to play. But like you said, Bernard, looking at the film, they couldn't kick a field goal. We had a great field goal kicker and a snapper, Bud Young and Joseph Johnson, the long snapper. We was complete, but we didn't play like we played against Jeff Davis or Murphy or Dalton High. That game, because we willed to win it, we wanted to win, we did.
Oh, I'm sorry, number 40. Wasn't there a blocked extra point at some point or a blocked field goal during that game as well? Do you have anything to do with that?
Absolutely. Let me share it with you. I know we're gonna get to this play, but they had that was a block. They was gonna kick a field goal, and it went over the snapper head. The guy scrambled and got the football, and he was running to find a player. The player was sitting at the very end of the end zone. I'm coming across, and he throws the ball. I see the ball, and at the very last minute, I took the ball away and get tackled by my players. That was, where I not give myself credit, where I saved a touchdown. But we all played together on that particular down. So yes, that game was very elusive in the sense that, we didn't play our best, but we played as Cougar. We played together.
You're right. You played, Tim, as a team.
Yes.
And all that coaching, all that discipline, all of those drills ultimately led. We got Coach Preston Hatcher. Hey, Preston, good to see you, bud. We got Jason Barkley in the house and a few others. We got Revis Gertman in the house. Gertman
is doing a great job academic-wise. I think he's a superintendent now. He played with us.
He is a superintendent. Yes, sir.
Yes, superintendent.
Guys, I got Pi Whaley. We're in the championship game, and Pi, we're late in the fourth quarter. They got one more play. They decided the only thing they could do is just throw it up for grabs. What we now know is a Hail Mary type play. So I want you to take us to that play, my friend.
Yes. So now they're set up in a pro set. I'm playing weak corner, Kershaw playing strong. So they got the tight end on his side and the wide receiver. He dropped back probably to their 45. It's 9 seconds on the clock. This play was done against Murphy. I remember Coach Hicks pulled his defensive end out to cover the wide receiver just to slow him down for us. This same play, I think it was Bud Young, that Coach Hicks said, hey, go out there and slow up the wide receiver. Bud went with him and held him up, but started running with him. Well, that made the quarterback free and loose. I think Bud said he realized that, hey, I got to go and rush the passer. By that time, he stepped back to quarterback and he throws the ball across field against a weak side where I played at. The ball is coming, but now I'm seeing the interception. I see it, and it's almost in my hand. Here's the miracle behind this play right here. I go up to catch the ball. I want to say Darryl Chatham hit me. I flipped and somersault. The last second, I reached my finger out and knocked the ball out of his hand. It ended the game. I'm like, what just happened? Now, I'm in the air going for the interception. and there hit me, and I flip. I do a somersault. As I'm rotating around, I reach my hand out and knock the ball out with my finger. In the game, I lay down. I'm like, it's over with. I can exhale. And I remember Coach Hicks coming to pick me up off the ground, and we won the state championship as a team. So the weight of my shoulder was lifted from that represented the 1978 team, the 1979 team, the 80 team, the 81 team, the practices, the films, the traveling, the games, the sponsorship, the quarterback club. It represented that entire world that we lived in, the prep rallies. And I'm not saying that I was the hero on that player, that game. It was everybody. It was the coaching staff. It was the manager. It was the fan base. It was the cheerleader. It was the band booster. And it was all that was embalmed to that one play. And so, Bernard, I can't take the credit for that, yet I did make the play. It represented that wholeness of Dothan, Northview.
Guys, if you don't know this man or didn't know this man before now, what he just described is the absolute definition of an ultimate teammate. He's given the greater good the credit for what he did because he's a product of all of that. And that's what made your team so special. And that's what made you so special as a teammate. And I want you guys to go find on YouTube, I've got it in the group. I want you to go find that highlight tape and watch that play because it's exactly the way he just described it. It's awesome.
Yes.
It is truly awesome. Pi, you make the play. We win the state title. It's the first state title. Coach Parrish called it 4 years before.
Yes.
I want to be respectful of your time. I don't want to just skip over all the celebration, but you've got so much more of your story to share. And that's where I want to keep going because ultimately you and a whole host of Cougars, you've heard that term before.
Yes.
End up on the same collegiate team. Take us there. How did all you guys end up on the same collegiate team in Louisiana?
Right. Steve Ince, the running back with Dwight Jones. Him and another guy named Danny Kirkman, who played in the Wiregrass. Steve Ince was already there. And so I remember Coach Ronnie Shelley came to Northview High School, and he said, I want to sign Tim Whaley and Kershaw Bird. We had offers to go to University of Miami. I wanted to go to Troy. That's where I wanted to go to. Alabama State, Tennessee State, Mississippi Valley, where Jerry Rice played at. I had other colleges to go to, but they flew, when I said they, Southeast Louisiana, flew Kershaw and I to New Orleans to go to the school, to visit the school. I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the environment. Kershaw and I, we signed. Leon walked on. John Kite had a scholarship. I think John Kite played with Alabama State, but he later transferred and came to Southeastern. You got Steve Vance, you got Leroy Marsh from Dothan High, you got Kershaw Bird, you got myself, you got Ahmed Fitch, and a guy named Joe Clark and Joe Neal from Ashford. And so we're all there in Hammond, Louisiana, a unique place to be at, in between New Orleans and Baton Rouge.
You just picked up the Wiregrass.
We did.
West.
We did. Matter of fact, I think 2 years ago, there was a player from Northview, Dothan at the time, who actually signed with Southeast Louisiana. Yes.
I think back in your day, 7 Northview players ended up playing at Southeast.
Yes.
Over the years.
Yes. And my senior year, University of Mississippi, LSU, and Mississippi College, they tried to recruit me to come and play in their division. Yes. It was fun. It was fun.
Oh, that's so great, Pi. after college, or when you were concluding your collegiate career, did you have aspirations of playing professionally? Or by that time, did you realize it was time to pivot to whatever your next stage in life was going to be?
Right. Like, good question. Like most athletes, the next level is, high school was fundamental. In college, you begin to learn your position. You begin to learn the plays. You begin to learn the offense. And so it became more of a skill position, and professional was the next level. And so, yes, I had aspiration of playing for the pros. In college, I was all state, all second team, well, all American and all conference. I was going to be recruited I was scouted by Seattle Seahawks. It just so happened that one day I was racing Willie Fields. I don't know if you knew Willie Fields. He's a wide receiver from y'all, and he was real fast. I mean, he was fast, like Trace Canlo. I mean, the guy was fast. And so we were racing, and we was in the gym where the weight room at upstairs, and we were going right to the end of the wall. Willie Field and I. And so we started running. So I ran to the wall to brace myself. So I stuck my right leg out, and I heard something pop. I broke my ankle. And the next 2 days, the Seattle Seahawks said, "Hey, we'll send a scout to you so we can work you out." And I couldn't. They came to Northview, they met Coach Parrish, and I tried to work out, which I couldn't. And so that kind of ended my career as far as having the chance to go into the pros. But I did work out for Green Bay Packers. I went out to 49 with Larry Roberts. I worked out for them. I met Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Ronnie Lott. I met the whole team out there, and I had the opportunity to work out for them. Dallas Cowboys. I went and worked out with Dallas Cowboys. But all that ended, and I say this right here, I pursued my career as far as finished my education. So I ended up getting my bachelor's degree, and years later, I got my master's degree in psychology and counseling.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
I got to pause you because we got Jason Mullins in the house, and we got DJ in the house.
Is Doug in there?
Doug Jones has joined us.
Doug and I, Bernard, we played Pee Wee football together. We played Pee Wee baseball together. We ended up playing middle school football together and high school football together. Doug and I have been close since our understanding of friendship. Doug, I love Doug. Doug is awesome.
Northview has been blessed over the 41 years that it was a program.
Yes.
Many superb, excellent running back duos over the years. But there's not a single one that tops Woo Woo and DJ in the same backfield, in my opinion. How do you top that? I'm sorry.
You go back to Dwight and Steve Vance, okay, and Fatso.
Oh, so strong.
And
so
sometimes
strong.
Reggie Jones. And then you go back to our era. You got Doug Jones back there. You got Philip Braswell. You got Woo. You got Nick Casalfo. You got Marcus Paul. And you got a depth chart of running backs. I even tried out for running back my junior year.
Stay in your lane, Pie. Get back on defense.
I tried quarterback, Bernard. I tried quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. They said, "Nope, we're gonna keep you on the other end of the ball." So yeah.
Look, all those guys ended up playing on the next level. But I'm in my 8th and 9th and 10th grade years, I'm watching DJ and Woo, and I'm thinking, man, how can you? That's not fair.
It's not.
It's not fair. Because those guys were so good. They were so good.
Yeah, and so Woo and I, we shared the special team of the kickoff return, with the tailway jerseys. And so, we was back there, me and Woo.
Awesome. All right, I don't mean to skip around on you, but DJ coming in was special. Pie, you go and get your elevated degrees, and it's so admirable. But I want to come to today, what you're doing, because what you're doing, what and I'm going to let you explain it.
Okay.
It's underappreciated in our society, and I'm so in admiration for what you're doing. But I want you to share a little bit about that, and how did you get into that field?
Yes, I have always worked with juvenile, whether they were at-risk juvenile or just juvenile period. Like I worked as a teenager with the boys club,
Mhm.
Hawk Houston Boys Club, and some I kind of matriculated on in that arena. It's a program called SPAN, SPAN.
Mhm.
It's a program where it's a non-residential facility, co-educational, where we're bridging the gap with students who have been kicked out of school or have been forced to go back to school.
Mhm.
And we try to bridge the gap to help them get their GED or learn a trade, go to college or go back to school.
Mhm.
And so what I do is more of the counseling, not so much clinical counseling, but more in the area of life skills, social skills, career skills, employability skills. I do individual counseling, group counseling with them. And these are teenagers that have gotten in trouble, something I've done, but I just didn't get caught. And we, right?
Wait, whoa. Now, I didn't go that route with our conversation, but the statute of limitations is long
It's
expired.
all right.
But Pi, for anything you might or might not have done, so
Gotcha.
feel free to share.
But yeah, I'm on the leadership of our state coordinator. His name is Charles Foley. My program coordinator, she's one of Amanda Hicks. And I work in Clanton, but I live in Prattville, and so I've been doing it now for the past 12 years. And so it's amazing to see the same kids that I saw and grew up as, and I can understand them. I can sympathize with them. I can empathize with them, and show them a better route than their intention. And so it's amazing to be around these kids, these teenagers, and to work with them.
Pi, you're filling such a need that is so underappreciated. So you've got several. You're going to have to get into these comments after we're done,
Okay.
because you got all kind of love in here that you'll appreciate. Now, I want to talk about Selma and March 17th. Why does that mean something to you? What's going on next month in Selma? You know, they just had the storm that came
Yes.
through, and I know you're making some efforts and things that you're doing. So I want to share that as well.
As, before you and I became live, we kind of talked about what I'm doing now is endurance training or endurance events, like doing marathons or doing triathlons.
Yeah, Pi doesn't do like the rest of us. He doesn't put in his 30 minutes of cardio. He doesn't do his little bit of weights. This man's in better shape than he was when he was 18.
Hey, but no, I give you one play on the field, one play. It got to go on the special team away from me. Yeah.
So go back to you're doing your training. So
yes, I'm doing the training, and so now we just had a storm, perhaps 3 weeks ago, and I had a chance to go to Selma, Alabama, last week, and it's demolished. It's been destroyed by the tornado. And so March 17, Selma had pre-scheduled a bike ride from Selma to Montgomery. And so now I'm like, hey, I have a reason to do it now, because I want to raise money and resources to help give back to Selma. And so that is something I'm planning on doing March 17 to help do my part of help rebuilding Selma.
Do you have a link, a fundraising thing set up that we can share to the group? Is there a way for folks can support your efforts that maybe you and I'll talk afterward that we'll post?
Okay.
And we'll put your contact information. I think that's so awesome that you're doing that, Pi. You know, it's you continuing to be a teammate is what it is. It's you supporting the greater community. And that hadn't changed since you were a little guy in Johnson Homes.
Yes.
It just keeps getting reinforced by your actions. And I just think that is you have my utmost admiration for that.
Right. I just believe that, I grew up without a father. You know, I met my dad when I was 28 years old.
Mhm.
My mom raised me, you know, with my grandfather and grandmother, but she was my life support. She's my life. She's my love. She was my everything. And so I live for her. I live to make her proud of me, along with my siblings. And so I'm very grateful for my life. I'm grateful for how God allowed things to be what He's given me. I say this right here, Bernard, what went wrong went right in my life. And so I heard this saying right here. It's saying, it said, the limitation you fight for, you get to keep, or the limitation you argue for, you get to keep. In other words, you keep saying that I can't do this, or I can't get stronger, I can't lift 40 pounds, then you get to keep those limitations. So I believe that if you fight for your limitation, you advance yourself and get stronger and stronger. So I believe that so much has been given to me in life through football, through friends, through relatives, through people. Even like you bringing the community of Northview back to a platform where we can appreciate where we've been and what we're trying to do now. And so, yes, Bernard, I want to do this to give back to a community that needs help. And so
I'm hearing some of that, Coach Griffin. No, no, no.
Yes,
That's
yes.
that lesson. That's that lesson coming through. You've learned it. You're executing it loud and clear. Oh, I got Keller Rue in the house.
Keller Rue on there. That's my cousin.
my fullback, number 30.
Number 30.
Pi, before we get out of here, my friend, and I cannot tell you how much I have enjoyed our conversation. I knew when we got back in touch, this was going to be just everything.
Thank you, Bernard. I give respect to you as far as you have this platform so that former players can come on and share their experience about Northview, whether it's been a cheerleader, been administrator, been a teacher, been a fan-based player, but you allow us a platform to express our experience at Northview High School. And so, yes, thank you for what you're doing.
Well, my friend, I humbly thank you. Thank you. Number 40 was one of the building blocks of our program, one of the cornerstones. And somehow with that special hand on that fateful day in December of '81, he was at the right place. He was at the right place at the right time, 2 times. Pi Whaley, thank you, my friend, for being on tonight on Conversations with Cougars.
Absolutely. Thank you again. And thank you, Northview World. God bless us.
Stick around. Let me sign off. Guys, that's why we're doing this. You got to hear these fellas' stories. And I need more of you to step up. I need more stories to tell. We need to hear them. We need to share them out. Pi, you had almost 60 players and former administrators and cheerleaders and coaches who showed up tonight for you.
Wow.
I mean, that's fantastic. You guys be safe. Let me hear from you if you want to be on. I'm going to keep bugging all of y'all. I'm not going anywhere. Wednesday night, 7 o'clock, Conversations with Cougars. Y'all have a good night.
Good night.